There's something different about people who grew up in the 1970s. It's not just nostalgia or missing a time without the internet. It's as if that generation was secretly trained to develop a kind of mind that today feels almost rare. More resilient, more creative, more adaptable. Maybe you lived this. Maybe we're talking about you exactly. Picture the scene. You're a kid, you wake up on a Saturday morning, have breakfast, and the only instruction you get is something like, go play and be back before dark. No tracker, no message every 10 minutes, no school WhatsApp group telling you where each child is. It was just you, the street, a few friends, and a whole world to explore with your own mind. Back then, childhood didn't come with an instruction manual. You wrote the manual as you lived. You and your friends spent hours creating games with whatever you had. A stick became a sword, a cracked sidewalk became a finish line, an empty lot became a soccer field, a castle, a space war. When someone got hurt, there was no collective drama and parent meeting. There was water, a cloth, maybe a bandage, a few quick tears, and right after, feeling better, then go play again. What looked like neglect was actually another name for something that's in very short supply today: trust. Adults believed you could handle it, and when no one solves everything for you, your brain learns to solve things by itself. Without knowing it, you were training skills that psychology today calls executive function: planning, improvising, moving forward even without clear instructions. You didn't get everything ready-made, so either you invented it or nothing happened. Now think about how you moved around the neighborhood. You knew exactly which neighbor was grumpier, which gate you could jump over, which corner was better to avoid when certain teenagers were hanging around. You read the environment effortlessly. Just a look, a tone of voice, a different kind of silence, and you already knew if you could stay or if it was better to turn around and leave. That wasn't paranoia. It was raw social intelligence. Without adults mediating everything, you developed a kind of internal radar to understand people and situations. You felt the mood of a place, noticed when something was off, chose your way home not just by distance but by the feeling of safety. Today this has fancy names: heightened social awareness, context reading, risk perception. Back then it was just called paying attention, but that attention trained your mind in a way that shaped who you became. Now jump to a regular weekday afternoon. The school bus drops you off at the corner. You walk home, grab the key hidden under the doormat or in a plant pot, open the door and go in. Empty house. No panic, no drama, no YouTube tutorial on how to stay alone without anxiety. You dropped your backpack, made yourself a quick snack, turned the TV to the right channel, did your homework as best you could, and managed that time like an adult in a child's body. What a lot of people today would call neglect, for you had another name: learning autonomy. Every afternoon you quietly proved to yourself that you could handle things. If you spilled something, you cleaned it up. If you forgot a school assignment, you figured it out later. If a noise scared you, you calmed yourself down. There wasn't someone constantly telling you what to do, how to feel, how to react. Without realizing it, you built inside yourself a very powerful belief: if something goes wrong, I can do something about it. Psychology calls this an internal locus of control. But for you, it was just life's basic rule: either I solve it or no one does. And then came that classic moment. You show up in the kitchen and drop the forbidden sentence of today's world: I'm bored. Do you remember the answer? That's your problem. Or go figure something out. End of conversation. No one handed you a tablet. There was no streaming with 1,000 cartoons, no endless list of auto-recommended videos. It was you, the silence and time that seemed to never pass. In the first few minutes, boredom was uncomfortable. You walked around the house, opened a drawer, dug through an old box, stared out the window, until suddenly an idea would show up. You started drawing for no particular reason. You organized your sticker albums by rarity. You wrote little stories in a random notebook. You called someone at the gate, invented a new game on the sidewalk, created rules, changed the rules, argued about the rules. Without realizing it, boredom taught you something that today is worth gold: the ability to pull meaning out of nothing. You learned that being unstimulated isn't the end of the world. It's the beginning of creativity. Today, a lot of people can't stand 30 seconds in a line without reaching for their phone. But those who grew up in the 70s were trained to wait, to endure, to let the mind wander a bit. Think about this for a moment. How many of your best ideas came when you weren't doing anything useful? Now imagine the backyard, the street, the empty lot of your childhood. You climbed trees, and they weren't park trees with safety fences and maximum height signs. They were tall trees, with thin branches up high, the ground far below, real dirt waiting if you fell. You rode your bike downhill without perfect brakes, often without a helmet, and still took your hands off the handlebars just to impress everyone. You jumped from heights that would give many adults a mini heart attack today. And yes, sometimes it went badly. There were scraped knees, broken arms, chipped teeth, hidden bruises. But with every fall came a quiet lesson. This branch can hold, that one can't. This height is okay to jump from, that one isn't. That was close. Better not repeat it. You were training something that's missing even from most modern life manuals. A real sense of risk. Not an exaggerated fear of everything, but the ability to tell what is truly dangerous from what just looks scary. While many people today freeze in front of the unknown, you were used to testing, trying, failing, adjusting. And that didn't stay only in the physical world. It became part of how you make decisions. You know life doesn't exist without risk. You know you can be prudent without living paralyzed. Now think about another skill that quietly appeared back then. Being okay with yourself. How many afternoons did you spend alone in your room, reading comics, listening to music, doodling something, imagining stories? How many times were your friends not available, and it ended up being just you and your thoughts? Back then, being alone wasn't a diagnosis. It was routine. You learned to enjoy your own company, even without knowing how important that was. Today, many adults run from silence as if it were dangerous. They need noise, chatter, notifications, someone's opinion all the time. But those who grew up in the 70s learned early that silence isn't a threat. It's space to breathe. You discovered that being alone and being lonely are different things, that you can feel whole even without an audience. Without noticing, you developed something psychologists value deeply today: self-regulation. When you had a bad day, you didn't automatically run to a social network. There was no online support group ready to reply in seconds. You swallowed the lump in your throat, lay down, thought about it, cried if you needed to, and slowly that wave passed. Remember when something went really wrong at school? A test you did poorly on, an unfair scolding, a fight with someone important to you. You came home carrying all of that, but you couldn't send 300 consecutive messages to someone to vent. Sometimes you just lay down, stared at the ceiling, and let the feeling move through you. That wasn't a lack of support. It was tough, silent training. Learning that emotion is movement, not a life sentence. You learned that you can feel awful one day and better the next. That not every pain has to be explained right away. That not everyone will understand what you feel, and you still keep going. As an adult, this becomes a massive strength. You don't crumble at the first no. You don't need constant validation in order to move forward. You feel, you process, and you move on. Now let's talk about something that deeply shaped your mind. Waiting. Do you remember following a TV series and having to wait an entire week for the next episode? That feeling of seeing a cliffhanger and knowing there was no way to binge everything in one night. Either you waited or you simply missed it. And it was like that with everything. The end-of-year party that seemed to never come. School vacation that felt like a distant dream. The toy you wanted and took months to save up for, or had to wait for your birthday or Christmas. You were being educated daily in something that today is almost a luxury, the art of delaying gratification. You knew the best things don't show up at the exact moment the desire appears. And precisely because of that, when they did arrive, they had a different taste. The present wasn't just an object. It was proof that you managed to wait. Meeting up with a friend wasn't just another hangout. It was something planned, arranged, anticipated. Today, with everything instant, that kind of training has almost vanished. Many people have unlearned how to handle the frustration of not now. But those who grew up in the 70s carried into adulthood a type of patience that you don't learn in any course. And where there is waiting, there's more room for conscious choice, not just impulse. But let's be honest, life wasn't made only of victories. There were days when you really messed up. You fell in front of everyone, forgot your lines in a school performance, failed in a decisive game, got a bad grade even after actually trying. And what happened next? Most of the time, nothing extraordinary. Maybe a harsh comment, maybe a quick piece of advice, maybe just, oh well, next time will be better. There was no manual on how to protect you from every bad feeling. You dealt with the pain, felt ashamed, went quiet, and a few days later you tried again. Each little frustration like that built something inside you that is becoming more and more rare today: resilience. You learned that making mistakes hurts, but it doesn't kill you. That losing feels bad, but it passes. That not being the best at everything doesn't mean you're worth nothing. And in the adult you became, this shows up in many ways. In your ability to start over after financial problems. In your strength to hold on in relationships, work, family, even when things aren't perfect. In your decision to keep trying, even after a string of disappointments. Now think about your old groups, the street games, the school gangs. There weren't adults stepping in to break up every fight. When someone was left out, when two people had a falling out, when a hurtful nickname showed up, it was you all who had to figure out what to do. You had to learn on your own how to apologize, how to forgive without hearing the perfect speech, how to notice when someone was upset, even when they said, "I'm fine." You developed a sharp eye for micro-expressions, tone of voice, gestures. You knew when someone was sad, irritated, or distant just by the way they played, spoke, or went quiet. That turned you into someone who can read people. Not just words, you learned to notice what isn't said. Today, when you walk into a room, you quickly see who's uncomfortable, who's trying to dominate everything, who's just trying to avoid conflict. This ability came from those days when friends argued without parents mediating every detail. And now we get to an interesting point. Many who grew up in the 1970s are now parents, uncles, aunts, grandparents. You look at children and teenagers today. You see a world full of technology, different risks, new fears, and deep down you feel a conflict. Part of you wants to protect them from everything. Another part remembers that it was precisely not being protected from everything that made you who you are. So you start making conscious choices. Instead of instantly solving every problem your child has, you throw the question back. And you, what do you think you could do? Instead of blocking any frustration, you allow small falls, you let them try, you let them fail. You stay close, but you don't replace the experience. From your own life, you know that too much protection can become a cage. Removing every obstacle is stealing the chance to grow stronger. You're not perfect, nobody is. But inside you, there's a deep memory. That you survived the street, the waiting, the boredom, the falls, the mistakes, and that's what built you. Modern psychology is starting to study all this with technical terms, charts, articles, and theories. But deep down, you already know the result. You are living proof that growing up with less protection, more freedom, and more personal responsibility shapes a certain kind of mind, a mind that doesn't panic at the unexpected, that doesn't need constant permission to exist, that feels fear, but doesn't surrender to it so easily, that feels pain, but doesn't become only its pain. Maybe in the rush of today, you've forgotten this strength. Maybe you just need a reminder. The 70s kid is still in there. The one who figured things out, who invented games, who fell, who got up, who waited, who learned the hard way. They still know the way. If this video reminded you of a childhood story, of a lesson you only understood as an adult, share it in the comments. It'll be amazing to read what this generation lived and how it shaped who you are today. If this content made sense to you, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next ones. And if you want to keep traveling through the mind and stories of other generations, I invite you to watch the next video here on the channel, where we dive even deeper into how the past shapes the way we think today. Thank you for staying until the end. Take good care of the 70s child who still lives inside you, and I'll see you in the next video.